Chris here, and I'm taking a look at another BMAX brand of laptop. So this is their Y11, which is basically the TechTablets F5, which I've already reviewed. The only change is the keyboard color, the keycaps here. But it's a very good laptop for those that are after something that is small because it's just 11.6 inches, but it can convert also into a tablet because it's got a 360-degree hinge. It's running Windows 10, it's powered by the Celeron N4100, 8GB of RAM, and 256GB of storage. So why do I like this little tablet so much, / laptop? It's really because of its portability.
So this is what we get inside the box. We've got the charger, which is 12 volts, 2 amps, Type-C, and it does come with an EU, UK, and US plug, and also a micro USB to USB adapter, but no Type-C to USB adapter, unfortunately. I just have to comment on the packaging is actually very good with this particular brand. They always double box things and foam padding as well, and they do use protectors on the lid and the rear. So the lid of it and the underside both made out of metal, and it also does come with this pre-applied screen protector here. You can see outlining all of our key specs. So this keyboard is a little smaller than most, okay, because it's just 11.6 inches, and that is understandable. So the palm rest is plastic but painted silver. The keycaps are silver. High quality plastics they have used here, however, and I do like typing on this keyboard. A little smaller, a little more crammed in than most, but because they are individual separated keys, you know, your island style chiclet keyboard, that it does feel comfortable to type on, and you get used to it being a little bit smaller. Arrow keys only half size for up and down. There is no shortcut for print screen, unfortunately, so I have to use the snip tool in Windows, but that's just a minor inconvenience there. Overall, a good keyboard for the size. Same goes for the touchpad, supporting Windows 10 gestures. I don't really have any complaints with it. Finer movements, it does work well. Now, if you're a big fan of webcams and you use them all the time and you want a high quality one, you will not like it in the BMAX Y11 here. Look at the location. So it almost looks up your nose. The quality is 720p, but it seems to run at only about 15 to 20 frames per second. It looks choppy, and in low light is quite poor. So I really wish it was in the top bezel and not down in this location. It seems an afterthought, the webcam. So this laptop is all about portability. It's all about being thin and light. It only weighs just over 1 kilo, approximately 1.04 kilos, and about 14 millimeters thick. So on the left, we've just got a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack here for ports, volume up and down, and the power button, mic, and one of 2 side-firing loudspeakers, which actually do sound pretty good. You'll hear a sample of these later on in the review. So on the right is where all the ports are and our micro SD card slot. We've got a second mic here, so it does have dual array mics within this, which is great. So the micro USB 2 port here with a status LED, so that'll be on red when charging. Once fully charged, it goes out. We do have HDMI 2 out here, so it's 4K 60 Hz as well as video out up to 4K 30 Hz with the full spec Type-C port here. So it's both data and also power delivery support as well. It's working with my external battery packs and my other power delivery chargers. So we do have an easy access SSD hatch in here. It's just 2 screws, so one to remove the cover, then one to remove the SSD. It's a 22mm by 42mm size SATA 3 card that is in there, the SSD, and it's got your typical SATA 3 speeds. So up to about 500 megabytes per second sequential reads, and then about 420 or so sequential writes. The lid, just like most of this laptop, except for the palm rest, is made out of metal as well, and we do have that Decepticons Transformer style BMAX logo. You either love it or you hate it. So because of this hinge, it can be used in a tent mode. You can use it as a stand, which is presentation mode, and it's very easy to flip around. Now this hinge, it does feel stiff and quite good, so no real problems with that, and you can put it right around, and when you do so, it does disable the keyboard that is, of course, there. So when you're holding it like this and you end up touching the keys, that is not actually going to affect it. Now the Windows button here is not actually just for show. It does work, you can see, bringing up the menu. Onto our screen now. So this is identical to the TechTablets F5's screen. It is a nice panel here, the IPS panel they got. So of course, 11.6 inches, a little smaller, but that does help it and look a little sharper as well. The brightness tops out at 280 nits, which is not the brightest panel, but because it is fully laminated, it's not an issue. Now, no problems with the touch accuracy, that seems to be fine. And out of the box calibration is actually very good. Really, Spider Pro 5 here doesn't have to do too much really to adjust it to calibrate this screen. So the color gamut, the coverage we're getting here is quite good. So we've got 74% Adobe RGB, sRGB here, well, that's having trouble selecting that, is 97%, and then our NTSC is 68%. So just like my other reviews, I want to point out a few things here, that the memory is running in dual channel, so this is great news. This means we get increased memory bandwidth, but as you'll see from Geekbench 4, that's not actually reflected in the result here, because that is pretty much the same as what I've been getting with other Sauron N4100s here. Well, actually a little bit less. Now, I don't know why this was. It can vary from time to time. It could be because I ran it from the battery, so expect it to be a little bit more. But the overall performance, as you'll see later on, is actually quite good for what it is. It's a low-end chip, quad-core, 2.4 gigahertz maximum, and really cannot expect a huge amount out of this. Now, video playback, for example, a 4K file with a reasonably high bitrate, you'll see here is a little bit slow to start with, but once it gets going, it's actually fine there. You can skip ahead. Now, I'm not showing you this in Windows Media Player because it's asking me to buy the codec, so I'm just using an alternative video player right here. But it is fluid and smooth right there. So when you take a look at the device manager, we've got your typical wireless card on here, which is the Intel Dual Band Wireless AC 3165. You can get around 380 megabits per second upload and downloads out of this. So it's not the fastest wireless card, but it's good to see that, you know, it's wireless AC. We've had that for a few years now. Bluetooth 5 support there with it as well. So if you're using some true wireless stereo earbuds and things like that, they're going to work great with this. And the range tends to be pretty good. It's not that bad. You can walk away a few rooms and still be connected up just fine. Now, the accelerometer, there's actually two of them. There's one on the keyboard and then one, I believe, in the screen. So it knows when the screen is flipped around. This is how, with the sensors, it disables the keyboard, so you're not getting any accidental presses there when you're using it just as a tablet. Now, as a tablet weighing a kilo, it's a bit uncomfortable after a while. I normally just use it as a stand, but the size of this laptop means it's perfect for using on tray tables in public transport, like airplanes and trains, for example. It is an absolute perfect match for that. So light document use is what this is ideal for. The 8 gigabytes of RAM is going to help out a little bit with our multitasking, because I'm running a few things just to show you real world use here, that you can do your edits and you don't notice huge amounts of lags or anything when you select a lot of pages, cut and paste and things like that. It's not going to completely grind down to a halt. No, it's actually pretty good there. You can see that did load in a little slow. I mean, it is a low-end chip. This is by default just 6 watts, but BMAX have set 9 watts here for our TDP. So the power limit's 9 watts, which is great. The BIOS is also fully unlocked to us. I won't show you just to keep this video a little shorter, but it's fully unlocked. That is also a big positive there. So I'll jump back into Chrome and do my Chrome tab speed test here. I'm going to search dogs and then just proceed to open up a lot of different tabs, and we'll see how it handles this. This can be quite demanding on this lower end hardware, and a lot of people do want to run just like 20 tabs or 10 tabs, which you cannot do, not with this particular chipset. I recommend about 10 maximum. As you'll see now, it's starting to slow down. So I swap over into Wikipedia here, the different pages. They are loading in reasonably fast. The scrolling speed here, you can see with touch now has been a little bit slow. It's been affected a little there. And these other pages, you can see swapping between them. Still quite quick. Once it's actually loaded in, I'm able to swap between those. But once you start to push really, I think more than about 10 tabs, in Chrome at least, you will then see some pages reloading. So memory is actually not completely full. I've still got about 37% left here. So you can go a little bit further with the multitasking here. But overall, the performance, again, for what it is, a low-end chip, is reasonable here. But let's take a look at gaming performance. So with gaming, you can really only play on the lowest settings in older titles like this one right here. This is Counter-Strike Global Offensive. It's in 720p on the low settings, and you're getting around 30 frames per second max. This is a full server, and oh, I should have killed that guy. I'm such a bad aim. As you can tell, I don't play these games anymore, but other games that are light, like League of Legends, for example, you'll be able to play that one 1080p. Just keep it on low settings. Now the thermals also check out on this laptop that you will not see temperatures exceeding 85 degrees. So there is room to tweak up those power limits, I believe, with this one. It'll get warm on the rear, but that's normal. Remember, this is a passively cooled laptop. There's no fans in here. It's 100% silent, which is great. So the side-firing speakers we've got on this, they actually don't sound too bad, and they've got even a little bit of bass. The volume's okay. I mean, it could be a little bit louder, but out of the laptops and tech I review from China, like these laptops, it's one of the better ones. Here's a sample. So now on to just a couple of other things. The battery life on this is not good, okay? It's almost like a Core M3 tablet or laptop. We're getting 4.5 hours to 4 hours max, whereas the larger model that you can get from BMAX, this is the Y13. It's my preferred laptop out of these two. In fact, this is one of my favorites. This one gets up to 8 hours, and with just video playback, 1080p with low screen brightness, I'm able to get even 10 hours out of this. And just video out of this one, perhaps 5. It is really quite poor because it's got a much smaller battery in here because it is a smaller, more portable machine. Now the weight difference, we've got just over a kilo, where we've got about 1.2 kilos here with this one. This is a thinner machine. It's a lot more portable. Now I also tested out Linux. I used Linux Mint, and it does work on this laptop, but there's no touch support. I think I need to use a different distro to get the touch support with that. Now the ports as well is another con for people that get this and go, oh, hang on, there's no full-size USB port. So that for a lot of people could be a deal breaker. One Type-C port and then one USB, micro USB port on here. Now they give you the adapter for the micro USB 2, but they don't give you one for the Type-C. You know, they should really include that in the box if you ask me. So this charges in about 2 hours and 20 minutes or so. It is faster than this one because again of the smaller battery. Webcam location, not good. And the webcam quality, not good either. It's not brilliant. I mean, it'll do the job for basic Skype calls, but if you want better, use an external webcam there. But I love the fact we've got a very good IPS panel in this. The brightness is good. The color gamut is also very good. The calibration out of the box, good. BMAX, or this ODM, are doing a lot of things right here. Now the keycaps, they're a little bit harder to see, but they're actually easier on the Y11 than they are on the Y13. I found the Y13 keys at certain angles are quite hard to see, even though it's backlit. Okay, when you use it at night, then you can see the keys great, but this one you can't. But I just find that it's actually all right. Now the key travel, using the keyboard, the touchpad, very, very good. It is a little smaller, but it's all about portability, this machine. And I love the size of this. This is just so portable, so light. It really makes me want to keep this unit because it's so good, but I still like the Y13 a little bit better. Now the micro SD cards, they sit in flush. The speakers actually sound better than most. It really is just a TechTablets F5. Now I know in the comments there will be some questions about stylus support, and there's been a lot of questions on my forum about that. I've got this. This is the TechTablets X6 Pro stylus. It works, okay? But don't get your hopes up. It doesn't seem to support pressure sensitivity. Palm rejection is terrible because it will not actually detect the stylus until it touches the screen. It really needs to be detected and have a hover function before. And that's when the palm rejection works okay for handwriting, because it would be absolutely perfect if the stylus was a little bit better. Perhaps there's another model from TechTablets that actually works a little bit better there. But when you have it in hand and then write like this, I mean, the size of it would make it really ideal for that. But I think this is why BMAX doesn't advertise the Y11 with stylus support, because it's just not great. Not great at all. So really, it comes down to that. The battery life, not amazing. Better battery life, better keyboard, go for this one. But overall, it's a great little machine, just like the TechTablets F5. I do like it. And thank you so much for watching this review. If you're new, subscribe, enable notifications, and I'll see you in the next up and coming video.